In this video, we're going to look at MathCounts Warmup 1 from the 2018-2019 problem set. Number 31 says, Bob has 40 cents in his pocket. If he has no pennies, how many different combinations of quarters, dimes, and or nickels could he have? So let's start with using the biggest coins possible, right? That would be a quarter, a dime, and a nickel to make 40 cents. Any other combinations using a quarter? Sure, a quarter and 3 nickels. Those are all the combinations we can use that use a quarter. So now let's go to dimes. We could do 4 dimes, right? And now we go to a combination with 3 dimes. We replace the 4th dime with 2 nickels. Now what about if we have 2 dimes? We would need 4 nickels. 1 dime, we would need 6 nickels to make 40 cents. Or we could have just 8 nickels. So in total, we have 7 combinations. Number 32. On the number line shown, what is the value of x minus y? Express your answer as a mixed number. Well, there are 6 tick marks in between these big tick marks. So x is 13 and then 3 tick marks over, so 13 and 3/6. And y is 9 and 2/6. And we're asked to find the value of x minus y. So 13 and 3/6 minus 9 and 2/6. We can just subtract the whole numbers and get 4. Subtract the fractions and get 1/6. So 4 and 1/6 is our final answer. Number 33. Ted flips a coin that is equally likely to land heads up or tails up. Ted flips the coin 10 times and each time it lands heads up. What is the probability that the next flip will also land heads up? Express your answer as a common fraction. Well, the first sentence tells us Ted flips a coin that is equally likely to land heads up or tails up. So the second sentence actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he's flipped it 10 times and got 10 heads. The 11th flip, it's going to have a 1/2 chance of getting heads. Even if he flipped the coin and somehow 40 times in a row it got heads, the chances of getting heads on that 41st flip is still 1/2, and the chance of getting tails is 1/2. That's never going to change. Number 34. This is a straight order of operations question. So we're going to do multiplication and division left to right and get 9 plus 15 minus 4. And then we're going to do addition and subtraction left to right and get 24 minus 4 is 20. Number 35. For this problem, we're going to translate this sentence into an algebraic equation. If 2 more than 3 times x, 2 more than 3 times x, so 3 times x, and then 2 more, so 3x plus 2, is equal to 5 less than 10 times x, so 10 times x minus 5, what is the value of x? So here we have an equation with variables on both sides. And when you have that in algebra, you want to get all the variables on one side. So let's subtract 3 x's from both sides. We'll still have a balanced equation, but we'll no longer have any x's on the left because these will cancel out. And we'll be left with 2 equals 7x minus 5. And now we have a 2-step equation that we can solve. We can add 5 to both sides to get rid of this minus 5 because this will cancel out. And we have 7 equals 7x. And now if we divide both sides by 7, we get x equals 1. Number 36. What is the volume of a rectangular prism of height 5 centimeters, width 7 centimeters, and depth 3 centimeters? Well, for a rectangular prism, to find the volume, we just multiply the three dimensions. So 5 times 3 times 7. And multiplication is commutative, so we can do those in any order. 5 times 21 is 105. Number 37. What is the average of the prime numbers between 20 and 30? Well, the only prime numbers between 20 and 30 are 23 and 29. 21 doesn't work. 3 times 7 is 21. 25 doesn't work. 5 times 5 is 25. 27 doesn't work. 3 times 9 is 27. So the average tells us to add them up and divide by 2. We add these up, we get 52. 52 divided by 2 is 26. Another way we could have found that average is just seeing that 26 is halfway in between 23 and 29. If you have two numbers, the number halfway in between them is going to be their median and their mean. So their median and their average. Number 38. How many lines of symmetry does an isosceles right triangle have? Well, an isosceles triangle has two sides equal. And a right triangle has a 90-degree angle. So this is roughly an isosceles right triangle. And there's only one line of symmetry, one way to split it into two symmetrical halves. If you draw this line and picture folding that triangle over that line, if I had drawn this better, you would see those two halves would meet perfectly. So there's one line of symmetry in an isosceles right triangle. Number 39. What is the quotient when 1 billion is divided by 2 to the 8th times 5 to the 7th? This was my favorite one of this problem set. So let's set it up like this. But now on the bottom, when I divide, I'm going to see that if I have 8 2's, right, and 7 5's getting multiplied together, 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to have 7, 2 times 5, I'm going to have 7 times, which is 10 to the 7th power. And then I'm going to have one extra 2, because the 2 had an 8 for the exponent, as opposed to the 5, which has a 7 as an exponent. So then I can use this trick of knowing that if I'm dividing by 10 to the 7th power, right, I can just cancel out, take away 7 zeros. And I'm left with 100 divided by 2, which is 50. All right. I lied. This is actually my favorite problem, number 40. Of 1,000 people surveyed, 1/3 of the 630 people who reported owning a cat also own a dog. If each person surveyed owns a cat, a dog, or both, how many own a dog? Well, this is definitely a problem you want to make a Venn diagram on. Right? So cats, dogs, and this area in the middle represents people who own both a cat and a dog. So 1/3 of the 630 people who reported owning a cat also own a dog. 1/3 of 630 is 210. So it's saying 210 own both. And that means 420 own cats, because of the 630 people who reported owning a cat, so these two have to add to 630. If each person surveyed owns a cat, a dog, or both, how many own a dog? Well, now we have to do 1,000 minus 630 to find how many people just own dogs. And that's 370. But that is not our answer, because these people in the middle also own a dog. They just happen to own a cat as well. So the number of people who own a dog is the 210 who own a dog and a cat, plus the 370 who just own a dog, and that makes 580 people.